There you go.
This
Nice and
is
easy.
great.
Right. Let's see. Hey everybody, this is Sensei Anthony coming to you with another episode of the Karate Chronicles Legacy Edition. I'm here with my pop, and it's Friday, January the 22nd, and I figure we just jump right in. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit because normally I talk about the value of practical martial arts and the value of evolved training. But my question today, Pop, is, and this we haven't rehearsed this, folks. This is always impromptu. Um, why would you recommend that somebody study a classical martial art like Kendo when we don't use swords anymore, or Kyudo, Japanese
Hmm.
archery? Why would you recommend that somebody study a classical art? Because now the rage, especially with mixed martial arts being so popular, is it's got to be, oh, this is proven that works. If it doesn't work, you shouldn't study it. What would you say would be the benefit of learning something like Kyudo or,
Mm.
the Naginata or something like that, the halberd
Mm.
for the people that don't know what that is?
Mm.
What do you think?
um, in my opinion, I believe that it teaches you patience for one, because you can't rush. Say Kendo, for example. You just can't go out and do your own thing on Kendo or Naginata or
Right.
Yaido. There's a certain way of doing whatever it is that you're doing. You see, for example, in Yaido, if you're doing Kiritsuke,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or you're doing Nikitsuke, well, you have to do that technique until you have it perfect. Until you look like it looks like you're doing Kiritsuke or Nikitsuke. You can't wobble,
Right.
you can't waver, you can't dig in your ear when you're supposed to be doing a strike, or the case may be. It teaches you focus, you know.
Yeah.
So so now you take that patience and focus and you put that with using your hands and your feet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that back fist, you know exactly where it's going.
Right. See,
See?
I always thought that a fencer would be a dangerous person to have to fight if they studied like boxing or something, because their focus.
Yeah.
You ever watch an Olympic fencing
Yeah.
match?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It's
it's
fast.
so fast. I can't even tell who got who. They
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
because the person who goes boom and they'll raise their
Mhm.
foil like got
Mhm.
him, and the other
Mhm.
person's like, oh dang, got
Right.
me.
Right. Right.
And like
Right.
that's fast. So if you can throw a back fist the
Mhm.
way a person thrusts a foil, and well
Mhm.
shoot, that's what Bruce Lee was trying to do with his lead, with his lead blast.
Mhm.
Um, I just saw a video earlier today where it talked about how a lot of the kicking techniques in old karate, like when it was in Okinawa,
Mhm.
came from Savat in France because they were importing all of these different ideas. And Savat, when they made weapons illegal, swords illegal,
Mhm.
they were using their feet in the same way
Yeah.
that you would thrust with the foil. And how,
Yeah.
in Okinawa, well, it wasn't karate really in Okinawa. It was
Te.
it was
It's called
te,
te.
right?
Mhm.
They had a lot of joint locks and throws and
Mhm.
that indigenous wrestling tegumi. So there
Mhm.
wasn't a lot of kicking techniques at all back
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
because, well, one, the ground isn't conducive to throwing a lot of kicks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was damp and wet
Yeah.
and
Well, once again, like I said, it teaches you focus and patience,
right,
because you don't want to rush your attack. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to.
right.
Oh, I made a mistake. Oh, he didn't do what I thought he was gonna do.
Especially if it was a weapon, it's like,
Right. So
uh,
you're waiting for that perfect time, because soon you know that the guy has a weapon, for example. So all of a sudden, he appears with a knife. Well, either you're gonna back off or you're going to attack.
go right in.
Hmm. So if you do, you have to know exactly where you're going with your punch or your kick
Yes, 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 yes,
or your grab. If you grab his wrist, for example, let's
yeah.
say, or let's say if you're going to do a judo technique on him, on a person. Well, you have to know exactly how you're going to do that, and you have to have enough patience to learn the technique so that it becomes effective. So again, you're looking at patience,
Right.
and you're looking at discipline. You
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the and besides it being just for the beautiful art.
Right. The
Now
aesthetic
you're
of
not
it.
the Kendo, Yaido, all that stuff. It's all beautiful to me.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking like I was thinking about it. I saw once this old Japanese dude. He wasn't no taller than his bow.
Mm-hmm.
He went out there, had his glasses, kind of walked out, cause it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of funny. He drew that bow and he hit something practically the size of it was like an aspirin tablet. I'm like, how can
Mm-hmm.
he even see that thing?
Mm-hmm.
But when he drew, he went out there, bowed, and he
Mm-hmm.
went boom. I mean, he hit that thing. So, I mean, his draw was so smooth. I'm like, that's thousands of hours of practice.
That's right. That's right. That's
And I
right.
don't
That's
think
right.
people want to put that kind of effort into quote unquote getting some, getting good at something. Like if you tell them it'll take you 10 years to be an expert at this, they get pissed at you or they think that that's too much. But if you can focus on something like that, you can focus on homework. You
Sure,
can
sure,
focus on your
sure, sure,
job.
sure.
That's the way I've kind of looked at it.
And also too, uh, sacrifice.
Right.
You sacrifice. You give up watching your TV show for
Right. Right.
for an
Right.
hour workout. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
And so, what becomes more important to you? Learning how to be focused and patient, or watching your TV show,
Right.
which you're not gonna get anything out of.
Right.
You know. So you spend your life doing something that requires patience and focus. Just imagine how good you are at that. You know.
Yeah.
So you do best what you do most.
Right.
You
Right.
know. So yeah.
And the cool thing about it is, like, I tell people, everybody says I'm multitasking, and I tell people don't.
Mm-hmm.
Humans have the ability to multitask, but there have
Mm-hmm.
been tons of studies that show that we're not great at it.
Mm-mm.
We just think we are. We
Mm-hmm.
can, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can throw a baseball, but I'm not going to be able to make it into any leagues, right?
Right.
We can
Right.
do it, yes, but we shouldn't. So when I think about something like archery, especially since
Mm-hmm.
if you miss badly,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
if you're lazy with the draw and the idol, you can hurt yourself, or it just doesn't look right. Like all these
Right.
kind of things.
Right. Right.
The main thing I think beyond the focus is the pushing out distractions. Like
Exactly.
no matter what's
Exactly.
happening, you got cars honking and you do this and you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make your target, whatever it is you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I know in the early days, Frank Shamrock,
Mm-hmm.
one of the pioneers of modern MMA training, he
Yeah.
studied like Kendo, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy who was one of the prototype examples of how to incorporate different kinds of training
Mm-hmm.
and nutrition and fitness. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
dude just never got tired. He was
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy, but he took like Kendo, and I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
people would wonder why would you, as a mixed martial artist, study Kendo? Well, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, you get something out of it,
Well, yeah, yeah. I tried Kendo. It wasn't for me. It's too restrictive as far as leg movements go.
Right.
And after the first night of class, my legs cramped because you have to stay in a certain, keep the feet in a certain,
Yeah.
and do that. And it wasn't for me because I'm more freestyle.
Right.
Now I can take two batons and let me get free, and I'm great. I'm good.
Right.
Man.
Right.
You
Like
try
the
to
mystics.
try to restrict me to my movement. That's not natural for me.
Especially since the people practicing it were significantly shorter than we were.
Exactly.
People act like
Exactly.
if you have the body of an Escalade, you should try to drive it like somebody with the body of a Civic. It's the
It don't
weirdest
work.
thing where
It don't
people
work.
go, well, this is how they did it. It's like, yeah, he was 130 pounds. Of course he was fast.
Mhm.
I got 90 pounds on this. He was like, I
Mhm.
got 90, I got 100, I got 70, 40 pounds on this guy.
Right,
And
right,
I don't
right.
think people understand that. But I think that nowadays people are maybe coming back to it because the idea of consciousness and connecting the body and mind are way more
I
important.
think once we finally get all the glitz and the glamour out of the way,
Yeah.
then people are more willing to focus on those kinds of things because the classical arts, it's kind of like, you study classical music, but you like blues too.
Right.
You like your little rock and roll, a little jazz, a
Right.
little gospel and all that kind of stuff. And so it helps you to spread out.
Right.
And once you're spread out, you'll find that all those different disciplines are connected.
Right. 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 I told someone that if you study rock music and you can play like a heavy metal guitar,
Mhm.
you can play everything else
Oh, heck
because
yeah,
there's
you
more
can.
variety. Like
Sure, sure.
Slash from Guns N' Roses can play the he can play blues, and people don't realize how good he is with
Mhm.
an acoustic guitar. 'Cause he made his
Mhm.
money with Guns N' Roses and blah 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 and Snake Pit and all this, but
Mhm.
he started to study the same chords everybody else studied.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason that he was at BB King's performances. BB
Mhm.
King wanted him there. You
Mhm.
know, and
Mhm. Mhm.
that's classic. You know,
Oh yeah.
that's
Oh
old
yeah.
stuff.
Oh
That you
yeah.
know,
Oh
that's
yeah.
not
Oh yeah.
new stuff or
And plus, blues is so simple. You know, 1 4 5. That's it.
right.
You know, there's nothing to it in that. You know, yeah, it's not as in depth as you would say something Stravinsky or Tchaikovsky or
Right, right.
Brahms or Bach or something like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but you said it's some plain old get down gut bucket blues.
Mississippi blues, that's
Yeah,
right. That's
there's
right.
nothing to it. You know, you got some Muddy Waters, and some Beethoven.
Right,
So
right.
that's why you should study classical art. You know, because it helps you to expand.
And the way I look at it is, it also the classical arts always have something for somebody.
Hmm.
For the great, well, actually, it's kind of funny because even with mixed martial artists, I can only think of two that were really, really good that didn't have a base art. So even in the sense of that, they built on something. You know, the Gracie
You
family,
mean they just start studying
yeah, mixed martial arts.
mixed
Just
martial
like
arts?
they went to mixed martial arts classes and owned
Right,
a
right,
guy
right.
named Rory McDonald, very good
Hmm.
fighter, and Carlos Condit.
Hmm.
Everybody else I can think of who were champions had
Hmm.
a base in something.
Hmm.
Gracie family, of course, with jiu-jitsu. Mark Coleman,
Hmm.
Randy Couture,
Leo
Dan
Machida,
Severn. Right.
yeah, yeah,
They
I
were
love those
wrestlers. Leo
guys. Yeah,
Machida,
yeah.
karate background.
Hmm.
Anderson Silva, taekwondo. Like all these guys had a base they built on.
Right.
George St. Pierre, Kyokushin. You know, and
Hmm.
there's something to that. You know, people ask. You know, I heard people say stuff like, "Oh, Kenpo's so great. Why don't you see it here?" I'm all, it's called punches. You know, it's
Hmm.
like, what do you
Hmm.
think?
Hmm.
What do you think we do in Kenpo? Is just stand there and not punching
Right.
people? It means
Right.
fist law. You
Right.
know.
Right. Right.
So
Right. Right.
when all these people that are in MMA though, when their fighting career's done or when they've had one injury too many, what do they
Hmm.
have left?
Hmm.
Are you gonna teach some? You know, you're gonna teach one
Hmm.
of those kids how to shoot a double leg takedown and elbow some other kid in the
Hmm.
unconsciousness? It's like no, you're gonna
Yeah.
teach them
Yeah.
short form too.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that for me, mixed martial arts, it doesn't have the traditional method and uh, approach. You know, it's kind of a collective of stuff. And on the street, more than likely, you're going to have that kind of freedom. You know how to kick, you know how to punch, you know how to take down, you know how to do that kind of stuff. Whereas with the classical art, like Iaido, because I'm partial to that.
Right.
Hey, you know how to do that cut just perfectly. You
Right.
know, so when you do your back fist, you transfer that you're doing a back fist. You know how to do that back fist perfectly
Right.
because you have the patience and you have the focus
To do
to,
just
to do to do it just like that,
that's the.
nothing less.
I think that people get confused about what their instructors could do and what they're able to do. It's like, well, this is what he taught me. I'm like, well, first of all, he did more reps in 1 month than you've done all this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
even if it's
Yep.
something like you said, like drawing a sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
bam, back to
Mm-hmm.
same idea.
Same
You know,
idea.
it's
Same idea.
even archery, right? It still has that back fisting motion in it if you're looking at it that way, or you see people inward
Yeah.
block, reverse. It's like, hey, they only got to hit you with one of those, and they've
Right.
done a million of them. You
Right.
know, it's
Right.
when you look at those old school JKA tournaments,
Mm-hmm.
those dudes they last and punch because
Mm-hmm.
they just trap him. Bam!
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
god,
Keep it simple.
right?
Keep it simple.
It's like,
They're jumping up in the air, man, and you're hurting your joints and all that kind of stuff. And after a
hmm
while, that begins to catch up with you.
right, right, right,
So
right.
that's why you keep it. You find older people who are much more treacherous because you don't have time on your side.
Cardio's not looking great for you. It's not
No,
going in
no,
your
that's
favor,
not
right?
your thing there.
That's
So so when you move like a lightning a bolt
hmm
and you bust somebody up real good, I didn't even see him move. Yeah, because he's been doing that forever.
right.
You wasn't supposed to see him move. You're supposed to feel it, not see it.
After the fact.
After the fact.
But
After
even
the fact.
like Kendo, just being able to cover that kind of ground, or like you said, yeah, being able to step in and You know,
Mhm.
if you step in the back, it's bam.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the one you don't see that
It's
knocks
the
you
one
down
you don't
anyway,
see.
right?
Exactly.
And for you folks out there who don't think so, watch a boxing match where someone gets knocked out. Look at the person who's on the ground. Watch him. He'll ask the referee what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They never. I
You
mean, I've
never
seen
see
that
it.
happen a
You never see
ton
it
of
coming.
times. I mean, they're literally like, "What just happened?" Just
Mm-hmm.
like they have no idea. And you spend all that time studying a classical weapon like Iaido or Kendo or
Mm-hmm.
let me think, even a naginata,
Mm-hmm.
because they still are able to make that step in and
Mm-hmm.
bam, you know, without their weapon, they can still step in and
Mm-hmm. Staff,
convert that.
you know,
Yeah. Oh
same
God.
motion.
Yeah. The bow.
Same
Oh.
motion. You know, it's always the same motion. Timing. Okay, what you gonna do? Oh, he moved this way. What opportunity do I have? Boom. Ankle is open. Boom. Side of the head is open. The gut is open.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so you see all that in just a flash of a moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole purpose behind it. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I didn't plan to do it, but
Right.
automatically you see the opportunity, you take advantage of the opportunity. Patience and focus.
Right. Right.
There it is,
Right.
right there.
And I think it's like I said, it just offers. It's weird because I feel like what people do to make an art more evolved, they say, takes away from the takes away from the spirit of it.
Mm, no, because the spirit is always there. I don't care if you're making pottery.
True.
The spirit of making that perfect
Right.
piece. How do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What state of your mind are you in when you made that perfect piece of pottery?
That's you know what that's true. What I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking was, I spoke to this old screamador, old Filipino dude,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a senior instructor under Ernesto Presas, who
Mm-hmm.
kind of codified all the stick fighting arts. And
Mm-hmm.
he said that when he learned, he said there was only like four things they ever practiced. He said it was a figure eight
Mm-hmm.
and an infinity sign. You found your
Mm-hmm.
way to make
Mm-hmm.
that work.
Mm-hmm.
He said they would hit the
Sure.
water with their sticks to strengthen their, you know,
Mm-hmm.
back and shoulders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that dude, his forearms were this thick, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you know in the Philippines they use those ironwood trees. It's
Mm-hmm.
not rattan. Rattan's that's like foam bopping guns for us.
Right. Right.
But they used to use this stuff called ironwood,
Mm-hmm.
and his forearms were massive for
Mm-hmm.
his size. And he
Mm-hmm.
said that all you did, all practice was,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and but they did it forever. And
Mm-hmm.
you know people want to start
Mm-hmm. Yep.
adding all this other stuff. Ah, people wanted to do all this stuff.
What kind of stuff? What kind of stuff are you talking
Well, the
about?
different kind of drills, like you know, different combination attacks and all this
Oh,
different
okay.
kind of
Okay.
stuff.
Sure. Sure.
And it he said it took away from the intensity of some of the training because they would do some of this and then they would do some stuff that they liked
Mm-hmm.
and then they wouldn't they, you know, they didn't have the patience just to left, right,
Right.
up,
Right.
down.
And what they didn't realize is just doing those figure eight movement, infinity movement. That's all you're doing. That's the
Right,
whole. That's the whole point. Strike, block, strike, block, strike,
right,
block.
right.
That's all you're doing. I mean, it's simple. Um, a simple workout, very effective.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of all you do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus, Criminy. Sorry, folks. People call you sometimes you're recording.
Mm-hmm.
Ay, Dios mío. And that just messed us up. I certainly hope not. That was good stuff. Oh no, I think we're still good to go. Fantastic. Sorry
Yeah.
about that, folks. Um, so yeah, that's okay. Well, that's a darn good answer. Just focus, discipline.
Mm-hmm. 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 And plus, too, it gives you a broader perspective on the arts.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes, yes.
if you want to be a good chef, you know, you want to know how to, you know, hell, if you can't scramble eggs, that's the beginning. You can't be a good chef if you know how to scramble eggs, man.
Right, right.
You know,
True.
yeah. So it, like I say, it broadens your perspective. You
Right,
know karate, you know classical karate, you know practical karate, you know uh, judo, jiu-jitsu,
right.
all those that makes up a gumbo. a stew of martial arts.
Yes, yes,
You know,
yes.
so you want a little taste of all of that. You see,
Yes.
a little taste of all of that. But what people forget most of the time, I think, is that yeah, you know how to fight real good, but do you know how to de-escalate a fight?
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
do you know how to de-escalate and how to bring it down so that there won't be a fight? So
Right.
all this is not about being a tough guy, being able to kick somebody's butt. That's not what the martial arts is about.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's to try to uh, um, uh, smooth over your rough points.
Right.
Polish you.
Right.
And give you some in-depth insight into humanity and mercy and compassion and all that.
Yeah.
And then there's the opposite of all of those. Do
Right.
you know how to do that as well?
Yeah.
So that there's the fine balance right there. If you unleash the monster, can you call it back?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's good.
Mm-hmm. That
Shoot.
makes a difference right there.
I like that. Unleash the monster. Can you bring it back?
Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, then you just a guy who says, "Yeah, I want to see if this stuff works."
Right.
Oh, come on, man.
Knucklehead. Yeah. Just.
Yeah, you're a knucklehead, man. Yeah. So that's why I think there should be uh, every school. Back in the '60s, '70s, every school you went to, there was a code of conduct.
Right. Right.
Some people were interested in fixing their hearts. I remember reading this guy. He says, first you must fix their hearts. And I think
Mm-hmm.
you still have that. One of the articles that I gave you some years
Oh
back.
yeah. Oh yeah. I still have
Yeah.
all those.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So fix the person's heart so they won't go out and do something with the art to hurt somebody because they're angry at. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
How to deal with anger. You see,
Right.
um, and how to be confident enough in yourself so that you don't have to become angry because you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah.
The older person, you learn how to deal with things over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're young, then you're more apt to just lash out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but when you're old, you lay back and say, okay,
Chill. All right.
chill. No, man,
I
yeah,
got
whatever.
you.
Because you're doing, there's nothing coming down the pipe about, you might get some guff about something. Yeah, I've been there, I've seen that.
Right.
No big
Right.
deal.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, so if you unleash that monster, you got to be able to bring it back. That's the difference between a knucklehead and a person of decency.
Yeah.
See, a knucklehead, they'll fight anybody over anything.
Right. That's
you
true.
know,
Like,
but a person who wants to keep the peace, they'll say, okay, see, you gotta pick your fights.
yeah.
You gotta pick
Yeah.
your fights. Okay, this is not something you want to get involved in. You know,
Right.
but now you see somebody to do something that's against your principles. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that, mm, that might be the wrong person for you to mess with.
Right.
Because you broke
The wrongest person.
the wrongest. That's the wrongest person.
That's the word I think. The wrongest person. I like it. The wrongest person.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny.
You open up a can that you can't handle.
Can't stuff it back in
You
once.
can't stuff it back in.
Yeah.
And another thing too, yeah, a lot of people will say, well, I studied this because it's a good workout, blah 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 blah, and it's on my bucket list to earn a black belt.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. And that person is not necessarily a fighter, but you give them something to fight for, you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're dead.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. And I used to struggle with that. Like, why would you take martial arts if you don't want to learn to defend yourself? That was hard for me to learn that some people just want to do the curriculum. I used to struggle with that. Like, then go take gymnastics.